Okay, hi. Welcome back to another episode of Composing Corner podcast. I did a couple of episodes before. 3 episodes I was talking with three teachers, writing teachers, two Indonesian and one Chinese. But now wondering about what it's like gonna be if I talk to a student. So this episode is gonna be about students' point of view, and here with me, a student, right? So yeah, I'm gonna be talking with my, what should I call you?
Roommate. Well, I
Okay,
guess yeah, just
my roommate.
transparent about it.
Yeah, my roommate, my friend, and he's doing undergrad, and because of that, he has been going through 101, 102, something like that, because it's a requirement for the freshman year, right?
Yep.
Um, Wait.
Okay.
First of all, you wanna share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Stefano, and I was born in Colorado, but then I went back to Indonesia when I was 5, and then I spent the 12 years of my life there, and now I'm back here. So I'm majoring in, well, I was majoring in aerospace engineering, but I quit it because there's too much math. So now I'm in Earth and space exploration, and right now I'm having a semester break because I'm trying to pay off the previous semester. But if I were to get back into school, then I would be on my 3rd year now.
And oops, and 30 would be like making you we were talking about this the other day, like junior, sophomore, junior. Okay, because in the US we got like for the first year is freshman, the second year it's sophomore, and the third year is junior, right? So
Yeah.
he's currently in junior. So
Yeah.
for the last year would be senior year, right?
Yeah, the last year would be senior year.
Okay. So yeah, as I said, it's a requirement here. It's a thing here for the every freshman got in the U.S. college, U.S. university. They will go through composition classes, first year composition courses, and it's gonna be 101, 102, or 107, 108. But interesting case with Steph. He's from Indonesia, but he was doing 101, 102. Can you share a little bit about that? Because based on my conversation with my other writing instructors here at ASU, mainstream classes like 101, 102 are for mainstream students, like for
Like,
domestic,
Yeah,
like
natural English speakers.
yeah, like for American here. And then 107, 108 is for multilingual student, for like international students. So how did you ended up in 101, 102, not 107, 108?
So
I'm gonna
okay, you can hold it. So it's funny because so when I was registering for classes, I was talking with my counselor. You know, we have the Zoom call. For the first ever time, they will Zoom call you, and then they will like talk to you. He immediately recommended me 101, 102. He didn't say anything. He didn't mention 107, 108 to me. He didn't like offer it. He just said like, oh, okay, so Stefano, for your first classes, you have to take this, and I'm gonna sign you up for a composition class. So he puts me in 101 directly, and I thought like, oh, okay, so that's the only class that I could attend, you know. But then little did I know that there's actually 107, 108, which is like English for second language, is English as second language, ESL.
yeah.
And 101, 102 wasn't that hard. Well, because I'm a native English speaker, so it wasn't that hard, but it was annoying because I wanted to focus on the other classes like my calculus or math classes, but instead I have to actually think on the 101, 102 because they're not easy. They're definitely not easy. They're not hard, but they're not easy, you know. So it's a little bit annoying because it's like tugging on my shirt when I'm trying to do other things, you know. So that's it. Like, and people there, yeah, we did like discussions. I'm not sure exactly what it was because I kind of forgot already. But the English teacher was like this young, mid-20s dude. He was a Caucasian. Had like light brown hair. He had a beard. He was pretty young. He looked like he could be one of us. And yeah, it was very friendly. The teachers are really nice in 100 level class, at least in my experience. But I just don't like the class. That's it. That's all I have to say about it.
But the class is useful, right? It's like introductory class.
I would say it is useful, but how do you say it? I'm the kind of person who doesn't really like classes which doesn't feel like it directly impacts my subject, you know? Because like for example, I'm taking aerospace and then I'm studying English. I feel like it's not a part of aerospace, so I don't really want to study it. I don't want to focus on it. I'm like, this is just some like extracurricular that I have to take, sort of thing. That's the mentality that I had. Even though yes, it is important because you have to be able to make those. They actually taught us how to make like lab reports and whatever, like a more engineering and technical side of English. But I just found it annoying. I was just really annoyed by it. I just can't get over it.
Okay, this is really interesting because this kind of issue also I talk with my other friends, the previous guest speakers here in the podcast. They say like there are several like what is it called, students that perhaps like perceive these courses as something as not their favorite because they're doing something else like you. They're doing STEM and then they got into 101, 102, which is basically English classes, but it's more than English class actually. It's like a composition class. So composition is focusedly on the writing part, not English, but writing. So I'm wondering like why do you say it's annoying and why do you say like it got nothing to do with what you're here for STEM classes, but I mean like it's only like two course. It's only like right
Yeah.
compared to your the rest of the list of classes you should take for your program. It's only two, and you took one in fall, one in spring, and that's basically all, and then you're free. But why you think that it's really
Annoying.
uh-huh and but please tell me that it's useful for your like second and third and fourth semester after that, right?
I would say okay. So for the first question of why it's annoying, is because I felt like, well, I entered university with a mindset that okay, I'm gonna take engineering, so I'm gonna have engineering classes and math. Engineering, math, physics, those kind of things, like getting down to the nitty gritty directly. But then when I get there, and then it's like we have a class which is like English, and that time the class felt like it had nothing to do with what I'm actually studying. So in a way, it felt like an elective class. It felt like one of those, you can take one elective, and you can have like social studies or whatever you want to put on your side. It felt like that, except that it actually impacted my grades. So you get the feeling of it's an elective class that actually impacts your grades, and that made me feel like damn, like I actually have to study this completely off topic thing. I have to actually like, because their tasks and assignments weren't simple at all. They weren't like, oh, just write this paragraph, put a response in the canvas and you're done for. Like you actually have to, they will tell you like a list of movies and you have to review one of them and make like a thing like 5 or 6 page essay on reviewing that movie and like analyzing it and stuff. And I was like, wow. Okay, fine, sure, I'll do it. But then it took so much time, and I was like, this isn't hard, but it's just annoying because it takes time out of other things that I feel like it's more important. So basically, I felt like it's annoying because it feels less important, but the grades are just as important, and that's like, dang, I have to study. I actually have to put effort into studying something that I don't like. And then, in terms of how it helped, I would say it did help. Not very impactful, but it did help. Like I think we studied like APA writing styles, like an APA format, which is the format of how to write like a report, like
Academically.
yeah, academic, like put an abstract and then something like basically like the general overview. I already forgot about it, by the way, but it was pretty useful. That one template or that one thing that the professor told me, it's like, oh, by the way, the writing style, blah blah blah, we'll use APA, so we're gonna learn about it. And then ever since, I've always remembered that name, APA. Okay, so I'm gonna keep using that format for all my lab reports. That was like one of the most important things. Other than that, it was mostly about like socializing with other people because he puts us in groups.
Oh.
Put us in groups, and then like as a group, how do you feel about this, blah blah blah, or like we'll try to make like a mock debate. It's like a English debate, except that it was like a mini version with only a few minutes per speaker, and it's like a 4v4, so make like a group. A little bit of bonding, I would say. Making friends is like the main thing, I would have to say. Academically, it's just the APA format, which really stuck with me. Everything else, like, kind of forgot about it.
Okay, it's APA because there's a system like how you write academically is either APA or MLA, but
Yeah.
most commonly it's gonna be APA.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it's interesting you mentioned about reviewing movie because for me it sounds like a lot of fun, and I don't know why you think it's not. Maybe I don't know. We have different preference, but then I wonder about what type of assignment other than reviewing a movie. What type of assignment did the instructor gave you
Um,
back then?
I don't fully remember, but I think one example I can give is that he was, I think we're on the topic of rhetorics or something, and he was telling us, like, give an example, like, basically write an essay. Give an example of how rhetorics and symbols are used in daily life. And then I'm like, it was such an I remember not really knowing what to do there because it was such an abstract idea, like, or rhetoric or a sign or a symbol or a logic or whatever it was. And I was like, I don't know. So I just started writing about, like, fast food signs on and how they attract people, how they um, give the impression of making you hungry without actually saying that you're supposed to eat there. Like, I think I remember something about the color red making people more hungry than average. That's what he said. He said in class. So I just used that, like, oh, McDonald's has red and yellow colors, which kind of represent red, which the color that makes you hungry, and, like, yellow is like their fries or something. And I don't know. I just vaguely remember putting something like that, but that's one, and I don't think I could think of any other assignments. Like, it was mostly just, what do you think about XYZ, and he will just make us write, like, a one-page essay.
What about your other fellow friends in the classroom? What do they think about? What did they think about the when you talk about
Oh.
rhetoric?
Um, like, as in, what did they answer for their homework?
Yeah, I mean, like, are they also as clueless as you, or they get pretty much idea about
would
what is
say-
rhetoric?
Yeah, I would say about 4 people. I think our class only had like 30 people in it, but, like, out of those 30 people, about 3 to 4 people knew exactly what to do. They're like the smart kids in class, but a lot of them, the biggest majority of them are just people who don't really know what to do, but they're just hiding it. And they actually know, they actually don't know. And then they will text me like, "Hey, what did you do for your homework?" I actually have no clue what I'm like. Actually, what did you write for your homework? I don't know what I'm doing. So, and I said, like, what? I thought you know what you're doing. He's like, no, I have no clue. So it looks like they're like they have ideas, but actually they're kind of on the same boat as me.
And for the context, the classroom is full with domestic students, which is American, right?
I would honestly, strangely enough, it was like 70% domestic, but a 30%, which is a pretty big chunk, are like other students. There was a
International?
there was a Filipino student there, but he spoke perfect English.
Or maybe they're like born and raised here.
Maybe that could be it, but based on that, I just saw like various. It's a diverse classroom, I would have to say. Like, well, predominantly white, but pretty diverse.
Yeah, I mean, like when we talk about domestic, doesn't have to be white because
Oh.
it's diverse here in the US, right? So like maybe they was born here, raised here.
In terms of their like legal status, I actually don't know. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they're domestic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Because as far as I know, for 101 and 102, they are 4 domestic students. So all of
I see.
them. So what I'm trying to say is, after the talks with my other friends, they say like the concept of rhetoric has been introduced to domestic students here since as early as high school. So they should have known. But now that you
Probably,
mentioned
yeah.
that they also have some sort of like clueless stage of what to
They're
do,
just-
it's kind of like contrary to my other sources. So like, what's going on here?
Yeah, they probably have gotten the education from high school, but I'm not gonna say all of them don't pay attention, but I would say that there's bound to be some students who don't pay attention, and I'm guessing that those students that I have encountered happen to be those students who don't pay attention. So maybe the sample is skewed because I've only talked to like 3 people, like, about their homeworks. I've only known of 3 people who are clueless. They're like, dude, I don't know what this is. Like, what did you do for yours? Like, I don't even know what to do. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I did about McDonald's sign. He's like, really? I'm gonna do Burger King or something. So he just did something similar.
Okay, and now if you don't mind sharing, where did you complete it, your primary and secondary school?
Primary and secondary were in Spins Interactional School in Surabaya, which is like at Wiyung. If you live there, then you know what that place is. It's in Indonesia.
Okay. So why I brought up that question, because I'm wondering, like, have you ever like getting writing class in school back then? Because I mean, I'm not
Yes.
talking about national school like sekolah negeri, because
Yeah.
it's different because sekolah negeri and international school. And
It's
I
like
have
a
no idea what's going on in international school. Are they also having composition classes like in the US, or they also don't have writing classes like most Indonesian schools?
They do. We have English writing classes,
Oh.
and we write like actual essays. One time we tried to write like a newspaper, So everyone has to make a newspaper, like a newspaper front page, and we're graded based on how like catchy the journal is. Basically practicing to be a journalist, and then we it was called English literature. That was what the class was called.
Wait, that's not English writing then.
Huh?
That's not writing class then.
But I don't know. For us, so we have two classes. This is how my school did it. We had English literature and English language. Literature is all the writing and technical stuff, and like they never talk about like rhetorics, but yeah, it was like just writing, composing something, making something. And English language is more into
The language, grammar stuff.
yeah, grammar. No, wait, actually, literature was grammar. Yeah,
Huh?
literature was grammar and the technical stuff. That's what I mean. And in the language, I remember in high school, I liked language much more because in language, we actually wrote novels. So we wrote stories. We have to write like actual novels with correct formatting from a book,
That's
where you
sick.
have to use a thing, and you have to make a story, and then teacher would just grade based on the creativity of your story and like the introduction, the body, blah blah blah, and the closing conclusion or something. You have to make like a short story, and in exams we have English language, and people would just like start thinking of the craziest story that they can put, like fantasy, whatever they want to write on the thing, and we're graded based on how creative you are. I don't know. So that was that.
That sounds a lot of
It's pretty fun.
Okay, but one thing for sure, they also do not cover rhetoric. So rhetoric is only here. Like you get to
Yeah.
know rhetoric here, right?
Yeah, like I've never studied rhetoric formally until I got here. I've always like heard about it, but it was like a passing idea sort of thing. Like a teacher would just mention it once and he will never talk about it again. Or like maybe he'll mention it, oh, by the way, this is rhetoric. This is what rhetoric is, and then that's it. He'll skip over it, and I'll never hear from that again. So that's like the only formal education I've had is when I got here.
Yeah, because I talked to one or two international friends who are teaching composition courses here. They mentioned that rhetoric is really US because the concept of rhetoric is not really. I'm not gonna say like it's not there, but it's not really famously introduced outside of US context. So
I
like,
guess so.
so yeah, so they actually mentioned like they get to know what is rhetoric while they're teaching composition courses. So that's really interesting. So like I feel like something missing from Indonesian writing class. Well, I cannot say that because we don't even have writing class in Indonesia. I mean, something missing from us learning or teaching how to write is rhetoric itself.
Mm.
So that's basically why I'm asking and try to compare whether in Indonesia you got like writing classes, because what I know we don't. And then you mentioned about all this stuff, but I still assume that that's not writing class per
No.
se. That's not writing class per se. That's language and literature class, basically. So, yeah. I don't know you agree with me or not.
I do agree. I feel like even though they try to make that curriculum out there because they want to promote like the English speaker students, but I would have to say that it's not formal. I wouldn't count that as like formal education on rhetorics. It's just like whatever the teacher knows, they try to tell us as best they can, because it's Indonesian teachers too, so they don't have like an official title or certificate that they graduated and they know how to teach like English level 1, level 2, whatever certification program, like IELTS or what's the other English?
TOEFL.
IELTS, TOEFL, one of those. They don't have it. They're just like people who know English and they just try to teach it however they feel like they can teach, so And language is not easy to teach, so I don't think these teachers are like, I wouldn't count it as formal education.
Okay, so what do you think, like in general, like your experience of learning how to write in Indonesia and in here in the US? Like,
Mm.
how did you actually study it all? Like, get to know writing and being taught how to write, and how you compare experiencing uh, teachers teaching you how to write back in the Indo and here. Are they really different or not that different at all? Or you
Very
have any
different.
other ideas about that?
I'll say they're very different. Teachers here actually know what they're doing, so they know what to do next. They have like a pipeline, you know. They probably have a syllabus thought out. You know, we're gonna teach this first. After this topic, then we're gonna teach this topic. You know, so they have like an actual timeline that we have to follow, and everything. It's like formal, actual formal education, and that's the difference. So, um, he knows what he's doing. That made the classes harder, which sucked for me. But I would have to say that's he actually teaches something. You know, like it's not BS. I don't know if I can say that here, but
Is that what?
it's not BS.
You mean bias?
No bullshit.
Oh.
It's
Can,
not.
can we say that here? I don't know.
I'm not sure, but it's not. It's not random crap. Like he actually has something to teach, and the the work is always unique every time. Like, it's not just okay. Write a story. The next day, write a story. Next day, write a story. You know, it's like something new. Maybe today we're gonna write this style. We're gonna talk about rhetorics. I want you to explain to me why blah blah blah. Like, describe to me all the signs and symbols that are being used in daily life, like in advertisements or whatever. And the next time's like, I want you to like write about this movie and how they use like the script or whatever it is to convey this emotion, this particular emotion, like that. So it's much more formal and much more official, and I feel like it feels like this guy actually knows what he's doing compared to when I was in high school. He was just like, all right kids, what do you want to write today? And it's just like starts putting random ideas on the board, and we're just like, it's more like a social class, honestly. When I was in English in high school, it was like a informal talking class. It was like a more formalized social class, so we get to talk to each other more because we're trying to practice English or whatever it is, you know. That's the difference.
Also, for disclaimer, he's been doing international school, which is different from the rest of the regular school.
Yeah.
So, also when you watch this and get to hear what he's talking, just take a little bit of salt. They say, right?
Take it with a grain of salt.
Take a little bit with a grain of salt because it's different context because he's doing international
Yeah,
schooling.
and-
So, but also interesting to get to know some insight from international school
And my
students.
school was following the curriculum of IGCSE, which is British. So we follow IGCSE, even though I'm here in the US now. But so a lot of the stuff that's there doesn't translate here. So yeah, all the classes and stuff. The teachers tried their best to follow IGCSE curriculums, but not perfectly. But they tried.
Okay. Yeah, that's basically. Oh. And I just wanna ask you about what you feel about 101, but we basically already covered that. And hopefully in the near future, in other episode, I get to talk with other students, Indonesian students, who are maybe was sorted into 107, 108 because Steph here is different. He is sorted into 101, 102 basically. And also hope I can get to talk with other people who used to be student but not anymore. Maybe like my classmate, like Tom.
Yeah.
Maybe I will like reach out to him,
Get
like
the
get
biggest
to
sample
know
size. To get everyone.
if he can still remember his experience back in undergrad because he's doing masters now with me. So like maybe, yeah, that's basically the idea, like exploring all these new concept, like getting more understanding what is it really about, what we can get out of it, what can we learn from it as Indonesian because we don't have writing classes, writing course, composition course whatsoever. So that's basically it. And yeah, I don't know what to talk about anymore. You have any last comment?
No? Well, 101, 102 is good, but I hate it. That's it. That's my comment. I hate it, but I think it's good for you. Stay in school, but
And it's a requirement. You should take it.
yeah, I have to take it. But
It's not an elective. You should take it for freshmen. That's what I heard from my other friends. And
it's true.
They also said like a lot of students also hate. It's not only you. Majority of the students hate is a strong word, but
Oh.
like it's the considered less
know what?
favorite course.
It's another one. I have 100, 101, 102 classes, but engineering. I had FSE 100. So it's like a 101 class, but in engineering.
But that's
No.
not writing class, right?
No, it's not. But if it's a 100 class in engineering, I loved it. That was very fun. It was just like talking with people. It was just like, the basics of engineering. So it's not formal yet, but it's mostly about building team and communicating and like making like a very basic project. That was really fun. I feel like if you're an English student and you're taking a 101, it might be fun for you. But as an engineering student, my 101 is fun, but English 101, I hate it. So that could be why, as I'm an engineering student, I hate English.
That's basically why. It's also a stereotype, but that's okay. Okay, see you on the next episode if I have another episode. Thank you.